Hello Math Tutors, today I'm making a video for the new Math 108 car project that seems to be stumping a lot of people. I'll show you some things to check for and how to fix them. I'll also show you some easy ways to impress your students. And before we get started, I just wanted to say that this video is not for students, it is only for tutors. So tutors should only be able to see this video. So as you can see here, I've just chosen a simple vehicle, nothing fancy, used Toyota 2016 RAV4. And the first principle I want to talk about is cell linking. Now cell linking is just to be able to, instead of typing this long number in the sales tax, I'll just be able to compute the sales tax by just linking cells together. This is pretty easy, so you just put equals and then just click the cells you would like. So I'm going to multiply the vehicle sales price times the loan or the sales tax. So in Idaho it's 6%, so I'm going to put 0.06, and as you can see that 0.06 I've hard coded it in there, so anytime that I would want to change that I'd have to go back in here, whereas if I had a cell over here that just said 0.06, I would be able to just reference that and be able to change it. So it's always important to know whether or not you should hard code, meaning putting the 0.06 in here, or you should have an input cell over here. So make sure that your students understand that sometimes you want to link those, that way you can change them easily. Also here, I want to just take a second to show you how to do the loan amount. It's pretty self-explanatory over here, but just make sure that they do vehicle sales price plus, I'm very sorry, you would do equals the vehicle sell price, cell linking always of course, plus the sales tax minus the down payment. Just make sure they do that right so they get the right loan amount. So I've gone through and done a little bit more. I'm going to walk you through the payment function in Excel. And there's pretty easy right here to follow along with the comments. If your student has already seen that, maybe point that out to them. But I'll walk you through it real fast. So I'm going to put equals payment, open. The rate would be the interest rate, right, divided by 12, okay, and comma to move on to the next one. The in per is the number of times it compounds, so it'd be the years times how many compounds per year. So we've already done that right here, so we're just going to do that. The present value would be the loan amount, but you have to put a negative right before it. That way it turns up positive. And you should do that. So that's there. And then the future value, you see how they have like a brackets around the FB? That means it's optional. You don't have to put that. So you can just skip that and just go on to 0 for it at the end of the period. Right? And then close it, and that should be monthly payment. Now see how this changed, and when this changed, this also changed? That's because that's cell linked, like I was talking about before. So that's how you would do the monthly payments. Many times students don't do this right. They don't link the loan terms and they just think, oh, 4 years, right? But you have to multiply that times 12. Right here they also forget to divide their APR by 12, and so I would always check that. And a lot of times they don't put this negative before the K11 or before their loan amount, and so it shows up negative, and that freaks a lot of students out. For example, just do it and it puts negative and it freaks them out. So don't let them freak out about it, just make it positive for them. And that's how you would solve that. Okay, so as you've seen, I have done a little bit more. I've already filled in this stuff and started to go on to my schedule. And one thing that that I think a lot of students have this problem with is they think that, okay, well, I've done this part and that's pretty easy, so now I need to do is drag and drop, and then this comes up and they freak out. One reason why it is like that is because this first row right here, it basically is taking and putting it into the columns that we needed to go into. So this next row is the one we get to drag down, the second one, after we get it started a little bit. I think it's kind of like rolling a rock, you know, you have to get that initial push and then it'll start rolling. So instead of this one, for the next one, we need to have it equal the ending balance. That makes sense? So this drops down to over here. So that where 1 month ends, the next one begins. The interest will then be, this one before was this times that, which is good. So we should be able to drop it down. But what happens is it gives you a big old number because it's not multiplying it by the APR anymore. It's multiplying it by that 48. So what I'm going to do is go up here and then lock this one by putting in dollar signs. Now you can do this manually by putting in dollar signs, or if they're using a like a Windows, this is just a normal PC, you can push F4 and that will cycle through all the different options. Make sure you just have it locked all the way down with dollar signs in before the K and before the 12, like so, and then it will give you a better price. This one we did the payment minus the interest. Now if we went and dragged this one down, it would say value. Why? Because it's trying to take letters and subtract a number, which doesn't work, right? So we need to do the same thing. We need to bring it up here, and then with this one push F4 or just put in dollar signs until it locks down. Then the ending balance before we did these two, so it should be okay to drag down, and I think that's good. So then you'll be able to drag this down and it'll do what it's supposed to. So a lot of people just drag this one down and think that everything's good, right? But then they get all this crazy stuff. It's your job to go make the second row for them and help them drag it down so that they know everything's going good. One good indicator is that the interest will usually go down while the principal is going up. And if the principal goes up, that means the amount that you're taking off of your balance is going up. So that means your balance in effect is going down, therefore making it to where you're paying off your loan. So this one's going up, this one's going down. I don't want that, but and then this one, in effect, I'm sorry, this one's going down, this one's going up, and in effect that means this one's going down. So and that goes until you hit 0. Then the next thing I just want to show you guys, you can then drag this and just go all the way down till it gets to 300 or to however long they need it to go. For example, I only go down to 48, and you can see right there, right next to my mouse, that it says 48, so I can just drag it down where I need to and it'll go in. So that is the first part of this car problem that a lot of people have. So hopefully this video helps. So now on to the things that might impress your students. So let's say that it just shows numbers. So let's say, and this format does pretty good to just format everything for you. But let's say you're seeing all numbers. It's basically because this row is being too small. And it needs more room. So what you can do is come over to where there's this like little cross with 2 arrows on the side right here, and you can just double click and it makes everything auto fit in that area. So anytime you see those, that's what that means. Usually if something says valid, it's because you're trying to do something that makes it to where, or I'm sorry, value. If it says value, then it usually means because you're trying to take letters and mix them with numbers and trying to subtract 2 principal from a number, and it just won't work. So you need to you can fix that easily now that you know what that means. Another thing, let's say you need to highlight this, but you don't want to drag all the way down. What you can do is you can just push Control Shift and then down on the arrow key, and it'll highlight the whole thing for you. And you can go back up, and let's say you're all the way at the bottom of a page and it's really long, it's forever long. You can hold Control up and it'll go all the way at the top of that column of that row. So those are just a couple quick hints on how to better impress your students. Hopefully this video helped. I will be making a part 2 for the savings side.